Hey,
Hey,
Anand.
hey, Michael, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, it's an honor to connect. I enjoyed just reading through your story
Oh,
as your long and storied career,
yep.
and I'm excited to connect. So I'm curious where. Thinking about where to start. What part of India are you based in?
I'm in central India,
Okay,
Indore. Yep.
yeah, I was there about 10 years ago because we used
Uh-huh.
to work with a web development company in Kerala,
Okay.
and so it's a beautiful country.
Oh, you've been to Kerala, Trivandrum?
Yeah, Kerala and Delhi, and then drove up to Dharamsala and then Jaipur.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So, how long was your stay in India?
just 10 days.
Oh, 10 days. Okay.
Let me just move out the dog. So, I saw your application, but I was just curious about, where you are. How would you describe where you are as a thought leader right now? And what does that next level of thought leadership look like for you? And what's your challenge to getting there?
Uh, I want to promote the philosophy of giving more. I'm trying to create a website which helps people understand the whole theory of evolution and how humanity came into existence on this planet because of the natural abundance of giving more. The other three states of existence on the planet, the material world, the plant kingdom, and the animal kingdom, they all give more than what they take in from nature. And that created the planet rich enough for human beings to walk this planet. Human beings try to understand why they exist and how they exist by looking at nature, trying to understand things, having all the sciences put together. And they have so far uh, done a lot to achieve the state that they are in. Now they are all realizing the fact that unless they take care of Earth, their existence will be in difficulty, and they are working in multiple directions from all over the world. A lot of people are doing things to um, set things right, and I would like to make that process very simple and easy for every human being to understand. Okay, how does this policy work? Where does this selfishness and the market forces and when did they start coming in, and how we can get over them?
And so when you're saying giving more, there's the value of giving more, but then value system of giving more, but also you're also thinking about it from talking about it from a structural market economy perspective, that there's different ways of governing ourselves to incorporate that value more.
Uh, the economic concept is built on two theories, which is been given by Adam Smith, that there are infinite needs to be fulfilled with limited resources.
Right.
That statement is absolutely bullshit. In nature, there is abundance of everything and very finite needs of all the human beings put together. That is the reality.
How well? Okay, I'd love to go deeper on it, but yeah, keep going. I'm listening.
And I read your latest blog that was mind blowing, where you explained about the thoughts and how you need to rework your thoughts and improve your performance. The myths that you said we need to remove. So there are many myths that culture and society has put into us. The clean slate philosophy of how a child is born.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
mentioned that in one of the latest blogs.
And so for you, you've been developing this over your whole life, and you want to share this online. And what's your biggest challenge to doing that, or what made you interested in reaching out as well?
I wanted to understand how a simple concept, which is very simple, like Any material, using any material is consuming it, and storing it or hoarding it is wasting that material. This is the simple economic principle that I have understood.
So storing is wasting, and then what was the first one?
Yeah, the
Consuming it.
consuming it is the only use of any material. If there is an apple from the tree, you consume it. Otherwise, nature takes its core and it is transformed into matter, and it goes into fertilizer into the soil.
Right, right.
There are n number of apple trees in the jungle. The fruit ripens and then it goes back into the soil, and again the soil gets nourished by it, and a new apple tree comes up. So hoarding
Yeah.
apples, storing apples, transporting apples are all non-productive things that we have termed as economics.
So kind of like use it or lose it.
Yeah, that's how nature is. The wealth of the earth is the same as it was 100 years ago, 500 years ago. All the physical matter can only transform. You can make it useful for human beings or it becomes useless. That's the only two things that we can do with any matter.
Right.
So
Yeah.
making them useful is what hard work is, and you only do that much that is required for you. You don't need to abundantly create granaries full of grain, and then mice comes and eat them. They get rot, and then you have a cold storage, and then you have something else trying to protect it, which is against nature.
Yeah, I was just reading an article about this, about hunters and gatherers. They were talking about how because they couldn't really store things, they couldn't work. They didn't work super long hours. They worked until they had enough food, but because there's no way to store. But once you store it, then it creates the incentive to build up as much of a store as you can. And it's interesting that in a world with blockchain right now, there's so much of a focus on ways to store wealth. It's interesting that that is such a big topic right now, that people, especially with the US printing money, people are like, okay, where can I store this wealth?
See, the paper is the value of the money that is printed. It's just paper. It is the belief of all the people put together ki, okay, this printed paper is much more valuable than the paper it is printed on, or the ink that is used in printing it. That is the intrinsic value of that note. Just because US government decides to print trillions of money, there is going to be inflation, there is going to be haywire, confusion somewhere down the line. For maybe 2 generations down the line, they are going to think, okay, why did the government print so much money, and why are we in so much of trouble now?
Right.
So my whole concept is taking a very, there are two missing pieces that mankind had till this date. One, spirituality was not able to explain what is God, and medical science was not able to explain ki, okay, what is it that goes out of the body when you call it a body and it is no longer a human living alive. So these two discoveries, or these two truths that were there in the nature, is what I've understood. And when I'm trying to share this with others, like I consider every human being to be a simple human being, just like everybody else. There is nothing unique about me. I and you are just the same. We both of us want to know the truth, live a fulfilling, happy life, and our
Yeah.
objective is the same globally. All the 7.7 billion are having the same things to achieve, and that's the simple. They're too simple to hit the hammer. So we need to. I'm just interested in getting guidance from you about how I can really explain these simple things that I've learned, and that it's too simple for somebody to really think of it. He has to unlearn a lot of things to understand these simple things.
Yeah. That's part of my favorite part of the whole process. Number one is learning
Unlearn.
something, and you have to get to the simplicity. You have to go through a lot of complexity. And
Yeah.
then my mind is blown by just these new thoughts, and then trying to have other experience people to get the knowledge, but also get the emotions of like this is mind blowing. Like, so, and so what's you know, obviously I know your goal is to get people to understand this and even the value of giving more and how the planet, but
Yeah.
protecting the planet, is it for you purely a philanthropic? Do you want to do consulting and speaking or write a book on
No,
this?
I have enough money to last my lifetime, maybe the next lifetime. There's not, see, I am at an age, I am going to live for X number of years, and there is Y quantity of foods that I can consume. There is a Z quantity of clothes that I can wear. That
Right.
is all that the body is going to need. What I'm going to need is a lot of love, a lot of self-respect, a lot of emotion, a lot of mm, satisfaction. Those are the things that they are not there in the earth. They will be created only by interaction with other human beings. So
Really
every human
powerful.
being has two kinds of needs. One, the physical needs that are only in his body. Then there are those emotional needs that you said, which is what is the experience that he carries with him.
Yeah.
They cannot be quantified. They are always qualitative, and you can have enough of them. Nature has given you a very simple mechanism. If there is a need that you are fulfilling, and the process of fulfilling the need beyond a point becomes painful.
Right.
So
Right. I
then
thought a
that,
lot like there's a diminishing return. Like,
and it's this is all the law of diminishing returns is again all jargon, academic jargon built up for economics just to fool people. Nature has very simply made it कि if you are thirsty, you drink water. Till a point, you will enjoy drinking water, and beyond a point, if you keep drinking water, you will puke.
right. Or you could literally die if you drink too much water.
Yeah, you can get drowned in water.
Yeah.
So that's the simple way nature has made it, and all the human people invented language, and then they made it flowery language. See, language was invented by human beings to share things that were in existence in reality before language was there.
Right.
And all the abstract concepts which human beings invented, which were not there in reality, are now governing the human beings.
Yeah.
So those wrong abstract things that we have built is what we need to erase. Now you have a
What do you
concept
mean
named
by
as
erasing
country.
language?
Not
What do you
erasing,
mean?
erasing the concept. See, now you have a concept named country. What is
Right.
a country?
How would I define it?
Yeah, what do you mean by a country? Is there anything in existence which you can call, okay, this is a country?
No. I mean, we're creating our reality.
That is the stupidity that human beings have done.
But I don't necessarily think that's one way of looking at it. But I mean, there's also a beauty to language that we're able to create ideas, even if they don't exist outside of our minds, that there's part of, there's intersubjective reality that just because something doesn't exist outside of a word or an idea, it doesn't mean it doesn't have value, because we were able to communicate, we're able to share experiences with it, we're able to, even money, it gets by itself, it doesn't have meaning in nature, but if we believe it does, that means something.
Exactly. So the all the pain on this planet is the difference between the perceived reality and the existing reality which is there in existence. So the gap between these two is the reason of all the pain of humanity on this planet.
Yeah, I think that that accounts for a large part of it. I mean, I want to say if I get my arm cut off, there's physical pain, but
Yes.
So for you, how long ago did you get clarity that, so I have a lot of entrepreneur friends who have made enough money for multiple lifetimes, but they keep on going because it's what they're good at, to just do that. How long ago did you reach the point at which you saw that and then really switch to focusing on experience? Or was that something that you were focusing on all along?
Yeah, I was intrigued by this question of why I exist right from my childhood days. I read a lot of J. Krishnamurti in my childhood days. I read a lot of Vivekananda, lot of the Vedas and other stuff. Then I got hooked up to the Greek history of philosophy of Aristotle, Plato, and Epictetus, and Stoic philosophies and all that stuff. And I've been reading a lot on that stuff. Even while I continue to work, I've been fairly successful. In economic terms, I have a good family. I have my wife and my daughter and two son, the two children. They are all studying. They're all well set. My quest for finding out the purpose of existence was ongoing, and I think I have now understood the gaps that were missing. So I just want to share those findings with other people and help them be resolved. See,
Hmm.
a human being exists in 4 or 5 planes. One, I exist as an individual. So, as an individual, everybody wants to be resolved. He doesn't want problems. He doesn't want to have confusions. He wants clarity.
Right.
So, every why, every how, every when, I need to know an answer for. So, at the individual level, that is what is clarity. At the family level, he wants abundance. He wants to be able to produce enough or more than what his family needs.
Right.
So the family needs are also again going to be of 2 types. One is the physical needs, and one is the need of love and joy between those people. So that is what requires him to focus on the interactions within his family. So the better those interactions are, they'll have more love between them, and that is what will create abundance. So having material needs is the primary need of the body, and having these needs is also equally important. So at the family level, he wants to fulfill both these needs.
Yeah.
So only if one of them is resolved can the family be in good shape. Even if one individual is resolved in a family, he can make sure that all the others are resolved and um, can experience the abundance.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
once we have such a group of families, then you will have uh, the status of fearlessness. That is what is required in a society. When you have a group of families, because the day the hunter gatherers started becoming settled settlements, they need to have some order. So they created some systems, tribes and chieftains and whatever small systems they created. That society needed fearlessness. Everybody needs to be not to be afraid of anything. They had come over the fear of the
Hmm.
animals. They were safe from the jungles. They were safe from everyone else. They needed to be safe from each other.
Right. Right. So it's police and military.
That was very later. That was after people started fighting and violence and all that happened.
So it's
Uh,
more internal protection, not necessarily
yeah,
external.
when you are walking down the road, there are another 20 people walking on the road. You just want to be safe. Okay, all these 20 people are not going to harm you.
Right. Right.
That kind of fearlessness is what is required in the society. So
Yeah. I just wanted to share.
yeah,
Just anyway, I'm just share. I'm following along here.
yeah,
Let me just share something real fast on my screen. Oh, can you see my screen?
yeah,
But it's one thing. It's a lot of overlap on just we have to think about ourself first, yeah,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
there's like
yeah,
different
yeah.
levels of, and then we have to think about not only ourself right now, but we have to make decisions that will our future selves will be happy with.
Yep, yep,
If
yep.
we just eat
Very
all
nice.
sugar all day, then that's not necessarily good for the future. But then it
Oh,
goes to family, the network.
yep.
But I like how you're really getting granular here. Like for me, those aren't as defined, the levels there, but
Yep. Yep.
network family. But yeah,
Amazing. Amazing. You made a beautiful picture of uh, helping people understand. That's what I need to learn from you.
let me try to close the screen somehow. Oh, there
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, really interesting. I've find what you're talking about fascinating, and have thought about it a lot. But it's just
Yeah.
also to see somebody who's thought about it longer. And similarly, since I've been in childhood, really thinking about the purpose, why I'm here, and
Yep.
a lot of
Yep.
the reading and work that I do fits into that.
Right.
So keep going. Sorry.
Um, so that's it. So like if human beings understand what they are, how they exist, and how they can lead a resolved and happy life, that's the only purpose. Because there are n number of communities all around the globe who are doing lots of good work. They are doing it for no personal gains. There are many organizations right now around the globe doing these sort of things. So if they could just have some basic scientific logical reasoning backing which can support their arguments, then they'll be able to spread it easily, instead of trying to look up some foundation or some one particular segment of it. What we need to understand is existence is coexistence.
Yeah.
So anything on this earth is to be taken along with the whole atmosphere that is surrounding it.
Right. I couldn't exist without.
Yeah.
There's no way to take it out and
Yes.
for it to
So
survive. Yeah.
that's the simple philosophy that we need to help everyone understand. Now, science is talking that there is no gravitational force, because when you leave gases from the bottom surface of the earth, or if you pump gas, they go into the atmosphere. There is no gravitational force that pulls them in. So now scientists are questioning the gravitational theory itself. So they are talking of an intelligent design of existence in the universe. That is what is creating the universe. And on this planet, other than the human beings, everything else is doing what they are supposed to be doing. The material world, the plant kingdom, and the animal kingdom, they are all doing what they are supposed to be doing. They have their own innate nature, and they are behaving as per their nature. Human beings, like the material just exists. I'll try to put it in words. Material needs to just exist. It continues to exist in its form till the external forces change it. The rock becomes a mud, it disintegrates, and then mud becomes a rock. All the metals, they are there in the required proportions, so that the earth's crust remains as a single unit. So the material just needs to continue to exist. Then that evolution happens, and you have this plant kingdom coming in. The plant has the capacity to choose, to grow, to nourish, and then decay. So they take nutrients, water, and other things from the soil. They take oxygen and things from carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. They process things, they do some activity, and they make the earth richer. Once the tree falls down, the soil becomes rich. Every change of season, there is a lot of tree leaves falling down, twigs falling down. Everything works in a cyclical way.
Right.
Regenerative economy is there. So the earth becomes richer, and then you have this small insects and lizards, and slowly the whole animal kingdom comes in. The animal kingdom has a will to live. It has to exist. It has to grow and nourish. And the third thing that they add to is the will to live. So you have all these animals who have a will to live.
I would say that plants have a will to live. Well, it depends how you follow life, what you define life as, but for sure,
Yep.
plants have a desire to live. They have toxins to protect them from things, and they're getting nutrients. And you could argue that
Yep.
geophysical systems have a will to live if you define living more as like a systematic level of taking an energy, processing it, and
Yeah,
movement. And yeah,
absolutely. You're right that if we define life to be that particular way of existence, then physical matter is living. See, that is what the language is doing to us. See, we are using language to explain a concept that physical matter exists. It takes in energy, it gives out energy, it processes and it exists. So that is the reality. To help me understand that, you are using the language.
right.
So that is how you should read Noam Chomsky. He has described the utility of language and what is the limitation of language.
Is
He
there
is
any of his books that you read? I've followed some of his work, but I haven't gone super deep. Is there any particular one you recommend?
what kind of creatures are we is a good book that he has written.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm gonna just put in my car right now.
Okay, so you are very methodical.
I don't want to forget it. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so see, this is what language is supposed to do, and the limitation of language. Now, instead of using the language to share concepts, we have started making language bigger than us, bigger than human beings. So that's making things complicated now. Literary, academic knowledge, or those things are being respected more than the human beings themselves.
Right. Yeah, have you read Yuval Noah Harari?
Yeah, Yuval Noah Harari is a beautiful writer. He's Homo Deus, and then the 21 things for the 21st century, and his Homo sapiens, and all that stuff. I was
Yeah,
just
that's it. His kind of like argument is that we're kind of
yeah.
dataism is the new religion, that other philosophies that put humans at the center, but now it's the data is at a higher value.
Ultimately, on this planet, humans are the most advanced species that is living. So, carrying my discussion about the animal kingdom, when the in the human being, he has to exist, he has to nourish himself and grow, he has the will to live, and then he has the capacity to understand.
Right.
So that is the ingredient that human being has. And there is a nice journal, nice article by Science Today, where they have found that all the elements that are there on the planet, they are present in some percentage in the human body. Every single human body contains all the elements that are there present on the earth.
Wow. What's that? Is that an article you said?
Yeah, it's an article in Science Today. I'll share you that link.
Okay, yeah.
Huh.
Have you read the book Physics of Life?
Physics of Life? No, it's about by.
It was written by Adrian Bajan. He's more of an academic, so he's started off in engineering and studied physics and thermodynamics, and
Okay.
has a model that it's all about what life is, and then how the patterns across. It's like a Rosetta Stone. So you're talking about language, that every discipline creates its own language.
Yeah.
So it is the first thing that I've really seen integrate, like, what is life at the geophysical level, the thermodynamic level, the individual, the group level.
Oh, amazing! I'll buy this book and I'll read it. It's there in Audible also. Yeah.
And he's a respected academic. He's done over 600 publications and 30 books.
Great. Okay, thank you very much for sharing this with me. I'll just certainly like to read that. So the life, the whole concept which I've shared is the soul, or the life atom by itself, is a different kind of an atom than the physical atoms that we know. The electrons, protons, and the kind of atoms that we have studied in physics have all helped mankind understand the physical world as such.
Right.
So there is this different kind of an atom which is not bound by the forces of pull, attraction, and pressure, and all that stuff. So this particle has just one particle in the center ring in the nucleus and has 61 particles going around in 4 concentric circles. So this is what is known as the soul or the life atom, or what gives uh, a different kind of existence. So
I've never heard of that. Is that
yeah,
I guess, what are you saying that based off of?
theory. It's a theory. It's a theory. I because no physical matter can uh, see it on the microscope. Because when you say you see that the Earth is round,
Right.
you haven't gone around the Earth to see that it is round, because by understanding by your visual eyes that this atom has the power to visualize things. So this visualization is happening in the soul, and your brain is the processor which is helping translate that vision into different things, and your body interacts through your brain with the other things in the atmosphere. So it's a little bit
You mean like
if you
kind of like
go,
panpsychism, that the
yeah,
elemental
yeah,
unit is, yeah.
you have to see, you have to combine everything, all panpsychism, dualism, philosophical things, monoism, and then the whole picture becomes complete. And my only role to know all that is just to live happily, that's it. A
Yeah.
human being wants to be resolved and live happily. That is the only objective. And all these sciences that he has created, physics, chemistry, Newtonian science, and then now all this random theory and quantum theories, the quarks, the waves, and how there's a particle, it's not a particle, the quantum, all those theories, they are creating big tubes to break an atom. All these empirical studies, everything is there, part of it,
Hmm.
from Socrates down to maybe the latest whoever that there was that big great scientist who was paralyzed and he died, William
Stephen
Hawkins.
Hawking.
Stephen Hawkings. So they've all studied, they've all wanted to know the truth. And that the whole purpose of truth is to live happily and adopt regenerative ways of life, so that humanity can exist forever on this planet. Otherwise we'll blow this planet out.
Yeah, yeah. We create problems for ourselves where the problem is so deep that almost it feels like sometimes the only way is technology creates the problem, and
Yeah.
then we need technology to get out of it almost. So,
Yeah.
and for you, you've developed these philosophies through a lifetime of study and applying
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And how important or committed are you right now to sharing it? How are you looking at what you're putting in that in the coming years?
I have created my own website. I'm trying to write a lot of articles, small articles, picking up small portions of it and trying to clear the myths, because the whole problem is unlearning a lot. When I say every human being is the same, it is just contrary to the belief that everybody thinks, okay, they are unique. That is
Right,
what
right.
everyone is teaching us. So it's not an easy thing. I can keep shouting horse, but nobody is going to listen unless it affects him. So
Right. You really want it to
I,
have an impact.
yes. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at and connect with people as to where they stand in life and what is their question, and from the question that they have, uh, solve their question, answer their question, and help them come to the place where coexistence is understood.
Right.
Once you
You don't
understand,
want
uh, yeah,
you don't want to just write to write. You really want to reach people where they are and help them go to that next level so they can
yeah,
understand it.
yeah, that's the way I think it will make impact, because the single most important thing that I've come to know is you cannot force anybody to understand.
Right, right.
you write a lot about learning. You are an expert in how people learn and understand. So you can. So this is the intrinsic nature of a human being. Only if I allow you to intervene into my thought process, you can intervene. If I am blocking it, or if I don't want to understand it, then there is no way anybody on the earth can penetrate into my thoughts and make me think the way they want me to think, unless they hypnotize or give me some drugs or something like that.
So, okay, yeah, that really helps me understand it. And, for on our end, over the years, I've always just been passionate about, since I was in high school. I feel like it's one of the luckiest things that happened is I started a business in high school. And
Uh-huh.
before that, I had read maybe 2 books on my own outside of school and didn't like learning. But
Okay.
then we got this first client and realized that, okay, we've never started a
Yes.
business before. We don't really even know how to do web development, which is what we're offering that well.
Uh-huh.
We have to learn. Okay, how do we learn? None of the people we know are entrepreneurs. We could go to the bookstore and buy books. And then
Mhm.
once we did that and the client was happy and then I was like, just started buying books on everything from meditation, yoga, gardening, and philosophy. And I haven't
Oh,
looked back. And
oh, that's nice.
I've kind of had 2 writing careers. The first writing career, I would say, went okay, which is I just was very much trial and error. I didn't actually study writing or how ideas are shared between people. And so I wrote 250 blog entries. I did get published in
Oh,
some publications, but ultimately the blog never got traction. I wasn't really even sure if it was working. And then I read a post by Seth Godin that says that,
that's
you
good. Yeah.
know, the the judge of how good you are is, do people miss you? And so I kind of, that invited the idea of just me stopping. And I
Mhm.
stopped and I never got a message from anyone, even noticing that I had stopped
Uh-huh.
writing.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't, I kind of took away that I actually, and I self-published a book and I was able to sell those through speaking, but it didn't really take off on its own.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I didn't write for 5 or 6 years. And then I was given an opportunity to write for Forbes. And so it's like, okay, I have a lot of things I could share, but I know that now understand that it's really hard to do.
Mhm.
If I just do trial and error, it's probably not going to work. I also
Mhm.
don't want to just write in Forbes to say, oh, put it on my bio that I'm a Forbes author. In the past, I wrote for Entrepreneur, things like that. So I really took a very deliberate study to, on a fundamental level, how do ideas travel from one person's head to another head?
Oh,
And
amazing.
and then also, what causes some things to go viral and be shared between people and people to talk
Right.
about it, and then what causes some things not to be and they disappear. And
Mhm.
was very deliberate. So one of the big things, I saw 2 things that made a big impact on the philosophy. Number
Mhm.
one, there was a Harvard professor named Anita Albersi, and she
Mhm.
studied media companies like
Okay.
movies, books, TV, and
Mhm.
she found that contrary to what you might think, where you would think that the internet is making everything more fragmented, that there's more niches, that is happening, but it's also the blockbusters are getting bigger than ever. And I saw with writing that people weren't actually applying this idea, that everyone was just getting, mediocre content that's not their best work and just putting it out there on a regular rhythm on social media. So I said, what would happen if I just went all in and tried to do, for every article I write, I try to make it the best article that I'm capable of at that time, and to make it one of the best on that topic that I'm writing about that's ever been written.
Mhm.
So I set that bar for myself. And right away it started working, that the average article was getting 10 times the engagement on
Mhm.
something, on posts. And then I noticed something interesting, that the shelf life was a lot longer. Most articles that get some attention, they disappear, but because
Mhm.
the topics were timeless, that people will keep on linking to them.
Oh.
And so, this article that was 10,000 became 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, and ongoing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that was that. As I saw, as it worked right away, I just, over the years, have kept on going deeper and deeper onto, okay, what would a system look like for creating blockbuster content? And then number 2 is I came across um, this tool called BuzzSumo. And with BuzzSumo, I'll just share a link here. it tells you, you can, rather than guessing what are the patterns of viral content, you could look at any keyword or any website and see for the last 5 years which article has been shared the most. And so you could, it's kind of like, the way I look at it is like, let's say you're trying to learn how to play basketball. You could try playing by just getting from your high school coach or your school coach, or you could see what the top athletes in the world are doing. And so what BuzzSumo, it really allows you to see who are the true experts and learn from them. So I found people who are successful writers who are writing deep articles that were going viral again and again. And I interviewed them, hired many of them as consultants. And I spent over 1,000 hours just going deep into the patterns, you know, exporting the data into spreadsheets. And 1,000, and I'm not exaggerating when I say 1,000 hours. We also tested over 4,000 titles and to A/B test to see what are the patterns that work. So it's not just theoretical. And right away, just over time, as we got better, the content started performing better. And just to give an example, most people spend, you know, years or even decades coming up with the ideas, and they even spend hours per article refining those ideas. And then at the very end, they spend 5 minutes creating a title for it. But for the reader, they're coming at it from the opposite perspective.
Yeah, they are coming from the title.
Right. That's the very first thing they see is the title and the image, whether it's a Google search result, it's the title and description, or social media, or even email, it's a title and then the first sign. And not only that, a lot of these news feeds are algorithmic now. So if your title isn't performing well, they're just going to bury it because the site doesn't survive if they have not engaging content. And so what that also means is if you're better at this, you know, your article is going to be seen 20 times, 30 times more easily. To give an example, you know, when I started doing it, I could actually test. You can, the beautiful thing is you can actually test to see your title and image before you even publish the article. And so when I started, I was at a 1% click-through rate. So 1% of people who saw it would click on it. But now over time, our minimum benchmark before we publish an article is 15%. So it's 15 times the increase in that. Right away is going to make the idea of 15 times more people seeing it. So it's sort of, those are just two of the ideas. And so we tested these with we had an agency at one point helping people with the articles, create blockbuster articles. And we had people go from hundreds of views to, some of them had tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views. And, you know, one person, you know, people are building businesses off of it as well, that as somebody reads an article, naturally the article whets the appetite for them to learn more. So people sign up for their courses to go deeper and really get the transformation. And so, you know, one article generated $150,000 in revenue from just one article. And so, you know, it's the possibility that if you have these blockbusters, you know, they're going to be seen by millions of people. And
yeah, that happens. That's the power of the internet. As you said, the author from Harvard who said, okay, this is, the internet has many good things and many bad things. So
exactly. Exactly. And so we created, more recently, we decided to create a curriculum that was really focused on transformation, not just information. Not just sharing what we've learned and doing a recorded course and you figure it out, but it's a year-long program,
interactive,
and all live classes, small group coaching. It's a small cohort size. It's about 25 people per cohort. And so we're starting the next cohort on May 10th. And we've done 4 cohorts now. So this will be the 5th cohort. And just every time we're trying to improve it, make it more transformative. And that kind of brings us to where we are now. So you get access to the curriculum, the coaching, and a great cohort of people as well.
That's nice. So it's starting on May 10th.
Yes, exactly.
So given the kind of content that I have shared with you, maybe there will be a little more tidbits to tie this together. The content that I am proposing is going to have a holistic view of human life from all angles, from the education point of view, from the economic point of view, from the relations point of view, from why should societies follow from spirituality, from different religions, from different ethnicity, from
Yeah.
the gender imbalance. There are many things that we can talk about, and we will have some great statements that are just sort of revolting. I wouldn't say it's easy for anybody to understand or accept it. So now I'll just give you a phrase like my one of my phrases coined is question what you believe in and believe in what you know.
Yeah. I like that.
So this is the loop that I think every human being should get into to be resolved. So if you know that you will die one day, do you believe that you will die one day? And if you start believing it, then there is no moment where you forget it. So you live every moment fully because you know, okay, one of these moments is going to be your last.
Yeah.
So,
I really like
so you
that.
live life fully, believe only what you know, and question what you believe.
Yeah, I
So,
really like that. Yeah, that's really good.
so this is the kind of phrases that I want to coin out of the terms of the knowledge that I know, because and I'm not very good at it. And you need to be very good player of words. That is where I need help, because if in the cohort there are people who are good with words, I can throw up this idea okay, if this is the concept, like if you don't consume there are 5 apples now today, and you ate one, I ate one. So I'm going to teach the child mathematics that look, there were 5 apples, 2 apples did their jobs. The job of the apple was to nourish a human being. So 2 of the apples, one I have eaten, one you have eaten. So that has done the nourishment part. Now 3 apples are left. So the subtraction of less and more is not the question. The question is, there were 5 apples earlier, there are 5 apples now. 2 apples have done their job. The 3 apples left, either they should be consumed by someone or they will start rotting.
Yeah.
So the best use is give them to someone who is hungry, who can eat them and make use of them.
Yeah. It's interesting. I guess it's like, well, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking like we've invented a whole monetary system where you can, we invented money, and then the idea that you could loan money and get
Right.
compound interest.
Uh-huh.
So, there is the feeling that for people that they can store their money and then they can make it back. It doesn't rot away.
Yep. Yeah, I wrote an article on this topic. The earth is rich, so are the plants, animals. Why are human beings poor?
Yeah.
But somehow I was not able to put my ideas in a chronological order, and it's been about 4 years since I wrote that article.
Yeah. I would love to read that. Sounds really interesting. If you have the link for that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll just share. So in the course,
okay.
yeah, we really go. I just mentioned Blockbuster and titles
Yep,
and
yep.
images, but
Yeah.
we also go deep into quotes and coining ideas. Can you see my
Okay.
screen?
Yeah, I can see
So,
the.
for me, I really just tried to go deliberate across a wide variety of areas. And so
Oh,
there's
great.
patterns in quotes of, the world of rhetoric. When you
Amazing.
gave your quote of question what you believe and believe what you know, that kind of follows the like,
Antithesis. Oh,
yeah, that
amazing.
pattern. The well-bred contradict other people, the wise contradict themselves. It's not what you know, it's not what you can do for your country, it's what your country can do for you. Or no, other way around.
Right. Okay,
But
nice.
anyway, that there's these
Oh,
patterns of what spreads and what doesn't spread.
that's a lot of hard work that you've done. Oh,
Yeah, really. I'll just give another example of
okay.
let's see, trademark ideas. Shoot, Kina trademark. There we go. So, we have a whole module in the program on coining words.
Okay.
So I know we had a whole conversation, as I say, I know we had a conversation about the value of words or not value of words, but there's a power that sometimes there should be a word for something, and people use, because there's not a word, people have to use a paragraph or use a lot of words to describe it. And so, when we break down, okay, what are those things that oftentimes something that everyone thinks is true is false, or everyone thinks that everyone is good is actually bad, or so finding that's, find that where like you have a opinion that's right or supported that other people don't have. And then there's different things you can name. Like you can name a personality, like the book Quiet by Susan Cain is about introverts.
Right.
You could name a stage, like a journey. You could name a stage, like Alvin Toffler has The Third Wave, or there's the book The Fourth Turning. So you could name a stage in a cycle, like you talked about studying cycles. So you can name the overall cycle, or you can name a stage in it, or like the S curve, that's like, or the exponential, let's say Moore's law, or
that's a theory of U curve. Now the U theory, there's a famous writer who has given a theory of U. That's again a Boston MIT author who's talking about entrepreneurship.
I haven't heard that theory of U. Otto Scharmer.
Yeah.
But, we go into, the patterns in naming. So I went back and studied the New York Times bestsellers for the last 70 years. And what are the patterns in naming things? Because oftentimes books do name something, like Theory U is a name. Yeah. And then how do you create visuals as well? So there's patterns in, when it comes to visuals, there's often certain visuals. I'm just making this up, but I'm not making up, but like showing you one. So like, let's say the hype cycle.
Okay.
You see the hype cycle in like a life of a project, where you go to a project, you think it's gonna be great, then it comes really hard, and then you go through it. Or Seth Godin talks about the stages in a company, or the Gartner hype cycle with technology, that whenever there's a bubble at first, there's the Dunning-Kruger effect that follows the hype cycle. You see they added images at it. But there's a fundamental mental model. And then when it's applied to a specific area, people create their own word and language. So just sharing this all to say that in the course, we really try to go into the analyze things. So it's not just based on, I tried this and it happened to work. It's based off of looking at it, a global view.
Too much of lot of attributes that we'll have to look at.
Yeah. But I tried to just take all that complexity and simplify it so that you could point it. So the investment is $1,000 per month for 12 months, or $10,000 up front. Okay. And then we also, if you want more coaching and daily accountability, where you get weekly feedback on what you're doing, and also 120 days of daily accountability, that's $15,000 or $1,500 per month.
Okay. So in that accountability, you will be checking what I've done.
Yeah. So you get accountability. That's just more, the first thing about this is just setting up a ritual so that you're focusing on each part of the writing process and the habit. And so that's for the daily accountability. And then for the weekly accountability, let's say you post something, and we will help you, brainstorm ideas or brainstorm titles and give you feedback on your titles to package your ideas once per week.
Okay. So this will be from May 10th, your workout is starting. It will be a 12-month classes.
Yes. And basically we alternate between classes and masterminding. So it's, it's about, sharing information, and then the next month you're applying it more and getting it competent at it. So then layering on top of that. Otherwise it leads, in my experience, to overwhelm, where you're just you get this information, and as soon as you're trying to figure it out, you get new information, and it's
difficult. Yeah.
and to
Okay.
me, it's the only, from my understanding, it's the only program in the world for thought leaders that's looking at it as a real skill set that takes time, that there's a lot of components. It takes time to develop it. It's not a 8-week thing and then you have all the skills.
Can you share me a few names of thought leaders who have been through your previous VOCAT class? Somebody, I can just see their online profile and see the kind of differences they are making in whatever they are sharing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's not people that you would know. They're not
No.
like Simon Sinek or something like that, or Malcolm Gladwell, but I can share some of the people that we've worked with before.
That's okay. I'm not overawed by people like Simon Sinek. If you read my explanations to the quotes given by Simon Sinek, you will find how much he's falling short. He's good with words. His thoughts are incomplete. At various forums on LinkedIn, on Facebook, I have responded to his quotes, completing his incomplete information, and which has got some traction. People have commented, okay, this is making more sense than what Simon is saying.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I actually haven't read his work, but he's famous, I guess.
Awesome. He's very famous. He's famous beyond comparison. Today, any youngster you ask him, Simon Sinek, he's God. Simon Sinek is God for the youngsters today.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
well,
perfectly.
And I can send you information too, just on everything I've said that's included, and a lot of things I couldn't get to, just to give you the full picture.
Please share that. I'll make a very detailed study. I'm over impressed by your understanding of the learning process. I have read all your articles about learning, and I can see the depth in which you are going to how a human being understands. So that there is a lot of content that I could also add on to that. Anything, I don't know how many minutes do we have. We have another 3-4 minutes. I don't want to waste. Okay, so I'll just try to explain it to you. To understand anything, there are 4 kinds of things that we need to understand about. One is the physical form.
Yep.
And then there is the chemical form.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is its innate behavior.
So physics, chemistry, biology.
No, it's not biology. The behavior is something that's emotional sort of thing. A stone has to continue to exist. A plant has to grow and nourish and decay. So that is the basic innate nature of that. And then the reason for that being in the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
So if you understand these 4 concepts, only then you can understand anything. So everything that is there in existence can be understood if we look at it from all these 4 angles. And when we try to understand human being from that angle, okay, first you need to understand his body, how he forms in a womb, what happens when the sperm and egg, there's a fusion, then there is a zygote, and then how it becomes to life. When does life enter into a physical piece of flesh that is there in the womb, and then it starts kicking, and then it starts consuming the food from the mother. Then its thought process starts right at that in the womb. It starts learning, and then it comes out, and it's a clean slate. And that's what you've mentioned in your last article. Oh, somebody's.
And yeah, I have to go in a second.
Okay, sure. Okay. Thanks a lot for your time. I'll please send me all the content. I'll look at it, and then if I have any questions, I'll come back to you. I'll share the link of that one particular article which you wanted about the earth being rich and why human being is poor.
I don't see that. I see Galaxy web links, but I don't see the article.
That is my company. That's the web. That's my company which I started, and that's my business. You said no web development. So we do web development. We have around 400 engineers working for me.
Wow.
So that's the company, and that article link, I'll just share it in a minute. Here is the article.
Okay, great. Let me pull that up. Yeah, and on my end, I really enjoyed talking to you, and just it's an honor. I mean, I just
It's my
admire
pleasure.
that.
It's
That you really, it's one thing to build a company that's successful. That's hard to do on its own, but just that you've really focused on applying the concept to family, to spirituality, and just building a holistic picture. And so just excited that we got a chance to talk today. And I hope that I'll stay here for information. And if it's a good fit, I hope we can work together.
Right. I look forward to hearing from you, and then hope to join your class, learn from you, and all the hard work that you've done for all those keywords and quotes and messages and the titles, and you've done a lot of work to make a successful writer. That's great. My only objective would be to get this message across to more people, so that we all get resolved and in time for the planet to be saved.
Yeah, it's definitely a ticking clock we're up against.
Yes, people are now, the whole magnetic axis, which is the universal force, beyond the gravitational force. If you go, that is the force of the total north and south pole being bound together. That is what binds the planet as a single mass. So that very thing is now being dislocated or disturbed by the kind of activities that a lot of big corporations and monoliths that they're doing on this planet. So
yeah, I mean, every time the more I learn about it, the more we don't really know what will happen.
Yeah.
And if there will be a runaway effect, it's scary.
Yeah. Okay. So it was my pleasure, and thanks to you for taking this time out and helping me understand. And I look forward to get more information, and then maybe take the plunge and do this investment that you're talking of to help me write better, so that people understand things.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm excited. And if there's someone on your team, some of this, as an entrepreneur, maybe you're focusing on the ideas, but someone on your team might be helping you with titles, or you might hire someone with titles as well. So
I tried hiring a lot of people. I hired a few people in the US also on a part-time basis. I think my concepts are difficult for me to explain to others. I spend about 1 hour teaching them a small thing, and then when they write and bring it back, I find so irregular, because
the ghostwriting, I understand what you're saying. I have the same challenge. The ghostwriting is hard. That's the hardest to outsource, but there's parts of it that you can outsource around.
I would I learn from you.
Yeah. All right, great. Take care, Anand.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, Michael.
See ya.